Well, good morning, friend. Thursday morning. Welcome to the Pastor's Podcast. Good to have you with me this morning as we get towards the end of the week, trying to finish out. Had a great service last night, a Bible study as we did a study on, as we continued our study on finances and how to weather financial famine. And very great information taught last night. And those who missed church, you missed something that would help you. And hope that you stay faithful to church all the time. I know in a lot of areas it's spring break right now, but spring break is not an excuse to miss church. And you make sure that you're in church. And as you gear towards the week, let's make sure that we have a wonderful time this weekend in every church. No matter where you are, you be faithful to your services Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. Here at Maranatha Baptist Church, we start a campaign this week, Operation Steadfast, trying to bring in 3 great weeks of pushing, trying to bring people in, the lost in, to get saved. Then, of course, on Monday starts the Old Paths Conference. And I'd encourage everyone, if you can, if somehow you can make it, we'd love to have you come, be a part of it, register for it if you've not yet done that. And I'm looking forward as we talk about Operation Revive Us Again. Oh, how we need revival. And I'd encourage you to come, be a part of this great week next week. It's going to be a week you're going to remember for the rest of your life. It's going to be a great week. I'd encourage you to come. It's going to help your ministry, no matter who you are. You make sure that you come, get ready, and pray that God will do something in your life as you come. And those, maybe you're not able to come, would you pray that God would bless it? That we would certainly appreciate. I know several are going to be traveling in. When I'm right now praying for their safety and for God to do something mighty. And so I hope that you would do the same as well. I want to read to you this morning as we talk about the difference. Luke 18:5 says, "Yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me." Now Jesus said in Luke 18:1, he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint. Then he tells of a widow woman who went to the city judge to plead her case about an adversary who troubled her. This judge didn't care about the widow. In fact, this widow was looked down upon in society. However, that didn't stop this dear lady from troubling the judge day in and day out with her case. Daily she went to this judge, and she wearied him to the point that he said, "Because this widow troubleth me," here it is, "I will avenge her." Now, there's another story in the book of Luke about a lady who was in a large crowd of people who thronged the Savior. She had an issue with her blood. Likely, she was a hemophiliac or a free bleeder. She had spent all her money to no avail, going to doctors to find a cure. Yet, when Jesus came to town, she pushed her. She was pushed away through the crowd just to get to Jesus, so that she could touch the border of his garment. Jesus, after she touched him, asked. He said, "Who touched me?" Jesus knew who it was who touched him, but he wanted the people to know that though others had touched him, she touched him in a different way to make an impact on her life and others. Now, there's another story we're told about in the book of Luke. As Jesus entered Jericho, the place of cursing, a beggar sat by the wayside begging for alms. But when Jesus passed by, he cried out and asked Jesus to have mercy on him. The disciples tried to tell this beggar to be silent and not to bother Jesus, and the crowds tried to push him away, but he didn't stop crying for Jesus to have mercy. And in Luke 18:39, it says about this beggar, when others told him to stop bothering Jesus, it says he cried so much the more. Oh, my friend, these stories show what makes the difference in someone's life and in your country. Every nation needs one believer who prays to God and keeps praying when there is no answer until they touch the Savior with their prayer. Oh, there's many who are praying. There's only 1 or 2 people who will touch the Savior and make the difference in their nation. Oh, they need to cry so much the more. Do you know what your church needs? Your church needs someone who will cry out so much the more, continuing troubling the Savior in prayer until they touch God. When others around you tell you to stop, you must continue to beg God until so much the more happens in your life. When your bus route needs so much the more, you need to trouble God and say, God, I need your help. God, you got to do something until you touch the Savior. Your Sunday school class needs someone to continually trouble God in prayer until they touch him. Your city needs someone who'll continually trouble God until God troubles until they touch God. The answer to changing your city is not to change what you believe, it's to look like the world, but staying at the throne of God until you touch him in your prayer. My friend, anytime a city or a nation has been changed, it's been changed because somebody stayed at the throne of God, begged God, and troubled him until they touched him. It was the early church who stayed in the upper room until they touched God. It has been many preachers of old who begged for his power, didn't stop begging until they touched him. You see, if you want to make a difference with your life, stay at the throne of God and trouble him and beg him until you touch him. When others say, stop bothering God, can I tell you, you need to cry out so much the more. Don't let your feelings stop you. Cry out so much the more. When you feel like when you feel like stopping praying, cry out so much the more. When you feel like quitting on your bus route, cry out so much the more. When you feel like quitting in your Sunday school class, cry out so much the more. Preacher, when you feel like you're ready to quit and resign, cry out so much the more. Believer, when you're about ready to give up on your marriage, cry out so much the more. Believer who's hurting with their health and you feel like giving up, cry out so much the more. When someone attacks you and you say, what's the use? Cry out so much the more. Oh, my friend, you cry out so much the more until you touch a God who can do something in your life, and the power is there. He can do something through you. Oh, that's the secret that this old nation needs, are people who cry out so much the more. That's the answer. You want to make a difference, then cry out so much the more until you touch the Savior. That's the secret to seeing God doing something in your life, through your ministry, and in every aspect of your life. You just stay at the throne of God and cry out so much the more until you touch him. I hope this is a help to you. Now, my friend, remember today, be good to everybody. Everybody's having a tough time. Have a great day, my friend.